Christine here, and I'm with my dad, Bob.
Hi.
And welcome to the Weight Loss Soundbites May edition. The third question we have, if someone you know who has had weight loss surgery is doing something not necessarily healthy post-op, for example, drinking too much alcohol or eating junk because it's only in moderation, or not taking the right kinds of vitamins, would you tell them, or would you tell them, or just let them walk their own journey?
Really, really tough question. I wish I was a little more confrontational. I wish I was able to tell them more. I'll try to manipulate the situation into them asking me, and then I'll try to supportingly say, well, you know, I would stay away from the sugars, I would stay away from this, I'd stay away from that. But to just go up to them and tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, maybe it's the time I spend in the military. I'm retired Air Force, and maybe I have two modes. One is extremely gentle, and one's like a drill instructor. And I'm hard at finding that middle ground. So I'm nice and I'm nice and I'm nice, and all of a sudden I'll turn into the drill instructor. I got that dad look. and so to me it's one extreme or the other, and I'm not good at the middle ground, and that's really where you need to be, because you need to tell them, but at the same time you need to be supportive. Yeah. And tell them because you care about them and because you're concerned, not because you're trying to ding them or whatever. There's a counselor, Fritz Perlman, who has a technique. He's back there with Freud and B.F. Skinner and those guys. He has a technique where he's very confrontational. Somebody will say, and he'll say, no, tell me the truth. You're really doing it because you're a jerk. You know, and that's his technique. I couldn't do that, but some people need tough love. Yeah. So what I would do was work into a situation, go out to dinner with him or something, and say, well, you know, I was going to order that too, but my body's not ready for it because of whatever reason. Try to remind them gently that they probably shouldn't be eating what they're eating as well. Even in moderation, the whole purpose is to eat healthy, to stay away from the bad things, not just in moderation, but altogether. Things you know that aren't good for you. Soda. One of my loves was Dr. Pepper. Mm-hmm. But when you look at it, there is absolutely no nutritional value in it. And it's just loaded with calories. Why was I drinking it other than taste? If it's not good for your body, don't put it in your body.
One of the people, Keith, who watches my videos and I watch his, he had an epiphany this weekend, and he posted a video about it. He saw this guy, or person, I don't know if it was a guy or girl, they were sitting there and they had a really large coffee, mm-hmm. which was probably loaded with sugar and creamer and stuff, and then they were smoking a cigarette, and they had a big, like a ham and cheese croissant or something, and he's sitting there going, oh, I can't eat that. I'm jealous of that guy. I can't do any of that stuff. And then he thought, no, it's not that I can't. It's that I don't want to, that I won't. He goes, so you kind of have to think about it like that. You could, if you felt like it, yeah. But you need to change your mind, not from a can't to a won't. I don't want to. Right. And that would help people.
Yeah, and you will find that the better you are at your diet, after about a year, mm-hmm. you know, I could eat my weight in Sonic tater tots. Mm-hmm. But I was about a year after surgery. I had a tater tot just because they smell good. And I hate it. I ate it. And then I didn't feel good. Yeah. The grease and that kind of stuff, it tasted greasy. You've become accustomed to tasting it before surgery, mm-hmm. and the grease doesn't bother you. But after surgery, when you haven't had grease for a while and you eat it, you get a sense of what it really does to your body. Yeah. And you think, wow, why did I ever do this? So sometimes it might be good to take a sample just to see that it smells good. Tater tots still smell great to me, but they don't taste good anymore.
Yeah.
And you'll find that a lot with different kinds of foods that you used to like. Now, for some reason, and when you sit down and really think about it, the reason becomes more and more apparent. Because it's a starch that your system doesn't like anymore, or it's because it's got grease in it, or the list goes on, and you'll realize, wow, my system doesn't like that, and it's not good for me. Maybe there's a reason.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. It's like an acquired taste kind of thing. And people would tell me when I was young, oh, have a beer. I don't like it. Well, you get used to it and you'll start liking it. It's an acquired taste. Or smoking.
Yeah.
Smoking cigarettes, and you hack and you cough and you gag and you turn green and you throw up. And, well, if you keep smoking, you'll start liking it. Why bother going through that for some? I never. My mom smoked. My sister smoked. My brother smokes. But I myself don't understand. And when I look at them through the years, how many times they tried to quit, and how addicted they were. That's one of those things I don't want to ever be dependent on something. I was a fireman, and there was a guy I slept next to in the fire station. His bunk was right next to mine in Alaska. Doyle was his name. He'd have to, before he went to bed, he'd get a Dr. Pepper, and he'd set it on the nightstand beside his bed in the fire station. So when he woke up, he could immediately drink it because he needed the caffeine and he needed the sugar. If he didn't, he would shake. All day long, he probably went through a 6-pack and a half of Dr. Pepper during the day, just because he always had one, and he had to drink it because he had to have the caffeine. And I looked at him and I thought, he's addicted to caffeine. When you got to have it and you start shaking when you don't have it, there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
So I avoided anything with caffeine in it. Your mom and I would date, or Sandy and I would date, and I would always have water. And she just thought I was cheap. Water's good for you. It doesn't have caffeine in it, doesn't have sugar in it, So and I liked water. There ain't nothing wrong with water.
No.
The benefit was it was cheap.
Yeah.
That's even better because I tell everybody I'm that dangerous combination of poor and cheap. Well, that too, but I like water.
Yeah, and it's better for you than other stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so, good answer.
Listen to your body.
And I don't really have, I don't think of anything else I could add to that. It would be difficult to, unless I was really close to that person, to really say anything like, you're being dumb, what are you doing, kind of. But
I'm just the opposite.
Yeah.
The people I'm close to I couldn't say, but if it was in a support group meeting, being a veteran kind of, I could nicely tell people in a support group meeting, well, if you had a McDonald's shake and you dumped, it's probably a bad thing. I wouldn't have another McDonald's shake. You're not supposed to do that anyway. And those are the people who, if they do it immediately after surgery, it's because they probably weren't in a support group before surgery. They probably don't have a support group after surgery. The doctor didn't. The doctor was one of those, yeah, come on, let's get you the surgery, I get your money, and then, okay, now you're on your own. Doctors you and I have talked about a lot before. And if you have one of those doctors, if he doesn't tell you to go to a support group meeting, if he doesn't tell you to go on a 2-week liquid diet, if he doesn't tell you the things that you'll hear here, or if you go to some of these approved weight loss websites and look at what they do, if your doctor's not doing that, don't walk, run and find a different doctor. Because all he wants is to do the surgery, get your money, and then go on to the next person, and you're on your own. And the pre-op stuff and the post-op stuff is equally as important as the surgery itself and the surgeon and his skills. And if the surgeon doesn't recognize that, he's not the surgeon for you.
Yeah. I think I have an exceptionally good surgeon. And I guess Jane is a nurse coordinator, and there's been times where she's just called me to see how I was doing.
Yeah.
And She didn't have to do that, but that's just the kind that they are, and it's not just me that they call. And you can call, I mean, Jane gives out her cell phone number, and there have been people at our support group meeting that have had the surgery, and they've had a crisis or didn't know what to do, and they could call her,
Yep.
and she'd help them. She'd ask the surgeon. So you definitely want, that's a big important thing for your follow-up and everything.
Yeah, is that surgeon a good surgeon, but also is he personally, individually concerned about you?
Yeah.
And Dr. Peterson definitely does. And his whole crew. He hires nothing but people who have that compassion for people.
No. Okay, so I think we're done with this question.
Okay.
Again, if you have any other questions that you'd like us to include in the June Soundbites, just leave them down below or leave a private message. And we'll see you next week.